And I believe we are live. Hello. Let's get an audio check. If somebody on the stream wants to let me know if the audio is good or bad, that would be great because we are live streaming this. But I think the audio is good. And yeah, hello. Welcome to the MintGox podcast. It's a podcast where we talk about gaming, Lightning, and we get our guest to do a lap around Satoshi's village. But more on that later. Our guest today, I'll bring him on in a second, is Jack Everitt from Thndr Games. Jack is kind of, I guess, an OG Bitcoin Lightning gamer. I think probably the first person to have a real Lightning game out there. So we're going to be talking to him. That's going to be really exciting. Before we do that, I just want to do some housekeeping and just talk about our sponsors. So, go. So, yep, our obviously sponsor today is MintGox because it is the MintGox podcast. The next MintGox is next. It's on the 28th of March. Where we will be having a CSGO tournament and a Bitcoin Rally tournament. So make sure to subscribe to our MintGox Twitter just to keep up to date with all that. Also, Bitrefill have been a long-term sponsor of MintGox. The best way to kind of buy gift cards with crypto, especially they let you buy gift cards with the Lightning Network. And also wanted to mention Zebedee. So Zebedee have launched their flagship product called Infuse, which lets you play Counter-Strike for Bitcoin. It's a really cool idea, really cool concept. You can just download the real Counter-Strike from Steam, which is a free game, and you can enter a bunch of servers and you can just play Counter-Strike and earn Bitcoin on top of that. So to get started with that, you need to go to zebedee.io infuse. Definitely check that out. I also play that from time to time and stream that, so I'd love to see you in the servers there. Okay, cool. So without further delay, let me just get Jack on and we can say hi to him. Give me a second, folks. Hey, Jack, are you there?
Yo, yeah, all right, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, great. Yo, nice to see you again. We haven't seen each other in person for a long time.
Yeah, it must have been advancing Bitcoin in London, wasn't it, in 2020, before January 2020, when you had your Reiki game.
Yes, that was true. Yeah, the last time we met. So Advancing Bitcoin was a great conference in London, which was, it seems like years ago now. Yeah, we had the Reiki game there, which was like a Street Fighter style game that I think you competed in, probably the first Reiki tournament actually. We did at MintGox.
Yeah, I did a few. Yeah, the first Reiki tournament at MintGox I won, actually, if anyone's listening or who remembers. So I'm kind of undefeated. So until you bring that game back, I'm the champion.
Yeah, so we are actually bringing it back, but we're actually kind of giving a reskin, a refresh. So we're actually we're doing more of like a Smash Brothers style game with it. So Reiki was like 1 versus 1, which is kind of cool, but it's not really like a party type feeling, you know. So MintGox is Magic Internet Gathering, so we want to kind of a more gathering feel. So we're kind of pivoting it to like a more fun Smash Brothers style where there's lots of people fighting. It's going to be a bit more of a toon style, so yeah, we're definitely going to have you.
So is that going to be tricky with the the lag that you had before? How are you going to do that with lots of players?
Yeah, so again, it's I think it's more difficult when you have 2 players because it's obviously with one person lags, that's like half the game, right? In a way, the more players you have, it's less of an issue. But I think, yeah, the way to solve that is obviously we just have basically people try to be in the same continent, right? And there's gonna be different rooms so people can be in different continents and kind of matched. And if they want to be in across the world, there's a bit of lag, but it's this is what it is, kind of thing. Yeah, but we'll see.
Hopefully, cool, look forward to that.
Yeah, we're kind of just we got the engine almost ready, but we're just kind of designing the concepts about it. So I'm gonna probably be tweeting out some stuff. But yeah, anyway, less about me and more about you. So for people who don't know, Jack is, I guess, is it probably fair to say that you were the kind of original OG Lightning game developer? You probably had the first Lightning game, I would say, maybe, or like the first like real game.
Well, apart from yours. Apart from yours,
I think you had them,
which you had the one like a couple of years or so before that, didn't you? The Saratobi, and
yeah, well remembered. I did have we did a closed beta when I was working in Japan, but I think yours was the first like production kind of Lightning game out there, right? I think there's probably a bunch of people who made like demos and stuff, but.
Yeah, I guess it was the kind of the first one that maybe got some traction because the Lightning Network was more, you know, not sophisticated. It was more mature, wasn't it? So it worked. You know, it wasn't. There was lots of like custodial wallets that I could just rely on my users to easily download. Whereas perhaps that, you know, at the start there wasn't all these things. So
let's take a step back, because it's been possible to make a game on Bitcoin like since like 2000, or since Bitcoin came out. Right? It's always been possible, and I know people, as you said, have made games with like custodial Bitcoin approaches. But what made you wait until the Lightning Network to make a game, or did you want to make a game before the Lightning Network? Was it just a coincidence of timing, or were you specifically waiting for it? Like, how did that all happen?
yeah, so well, I was always following the Bitcoin games very loosely because I've been doing games and apps since like 2010 and been interested in Bitcoin since like 2013-ish. So I was following the Bitcoin games like loosely, and they all just seemed quite scammy. I don't think I actually saw your ones at the time, but I saw some of the ones that eventually I think they're like Bitcoin Cash games now. But they were just there's so many ads, and it was like the Bitcoin experience for cashing out your Bitcoin was poor because, you know, you had to copy and paste public keys and all of this. And I was like, this is just awful.
We're
like,
talking about, was it Bitcoin Aliens or something was one?
Yeah, Bitcoin Aliens. Yeah. That's still around though, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
And yeah, so I started experimenting with the Lightning Network, I think in 2019, like summer. I think it's when I first sent you an email. And because you were like the only other person who seemed to be interested, apart from the Satoshi's Games team, actually. They were kind of starting then as well. And yeah, I would just realized that because using Bitcoin with the Lightning Network, you get instant settlement, well, nearly instant, and like you can have zero fees. It meant that you can do microtransactions, and it was just a much more usable experience. But it wasn't until I actually started using LNURL where I thought, oh no, this is actually good because we don't have to copy and paste any invoices or public keys. And then once that clicks with me, and I was like, I can just do a one-click button and people can cash out their Bitcoin. I was like, this has now got a good enough user experience to make something with.
Yeah, that makes sense. So for people who aren't aware, LNURL is a way to kind of, as Jack said, I guess ultimately you can click a button and get Bitcoin kind of paid out to you, rather than, as you said, copying or pasting invoices, which I think the first Lightning apps are a little bit like that, right? You have to copy an invoice, which is even more ugly than a Bitcoin address, which is
horrible. And it's much longer, and it's like, it's like if you just show a normal person a Bitcoin address or a Lightning invoice, they're just like, what is this? You know, it's just like you never used anything like that before. You've never had to copy and paste such a big string and be worried. Like you have to understand, like it's because they've kind of got like those checksums on them, so you can't get it too wrong. You know, you can't like just get one character wrong and it will pay, it will work, sort of thing. But people don't know that, do they? That when they're copying and pasting an invoice, in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, did I copy it right? Like, is this the right? Got enough characters in it? Did I copy the whole string? So it's just a nightmare, I think, to a normal person.
Yeah, I think we kind of take it for granted, like being in the space so long, you just kind of get desensitized to the horrible UI UX. Yeah. But you were you were a game developer before Lightning, right? So you actually, is it fair to say that was your profession, that was your job, that was your work? Like how did you get started in game developing anyway?
So
your stream makes you look like a guitar player.
Well, I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a guitar player. I'm more of a guitar, hack.
Guitar monkey.
But so I started off in gaming because I did a master's degree at university in like collision detection algorithms, like for games. And then from that, I got a job doing special effects software because I got employed to make a particle system thing for films, so people could make particle effects in their films, like explosions and like fluid effects, all kinds of things you do with particle systems. And one of my jobs there was also I had to make an After Effects plugin, which was a plugin that was ironically a lightning bolt. So I had to make a plugin that filmmakers could add lightning bolts to their films. So like they could do force lightning with your fingertips, like in like a Jedi type, or not a Jedi, a Sith. So that was my very first product that got released that I actually developed. I did it for someone else, but I developed it. And at the same time, the App Store was sort of coming out, and people were getting, earning tons of money, like for making an app that made fart noises and all this rubbish, So I was like, oh, I'll do
Remember the
what I
beer
do for my
one,
job. I'll make
the shotgun one.
the beer one. Yeah, the beer. I didn't want to. The beer one was good actually. So I thought I'll just do this lightning bolt thing, but on a mobile phone. I'll do like a mobile version because everyone's like, no one will blow people's minds because everyone's just so impressed by being able to zoom into a picture. Like that was impressive in 2010. You could look at the internet and you could zoom into a photo. So I did the like a mobile lightning app with lightning bolts, and it was like really hard to do because the iPhone like 3G was not very good for special effects. But I got something that was pretty cool. I took some shortcuts and made a cool effects thing. So you touch the screen and lightning bolts would come out. And that went to number 2 in the paid chart in the US. So wow. I was like, wow, like I had a little bit of money that I could quit my job and like I'll just try and make another app.
So I'm the type of person who heard stories like this and got into app development because of that. But I got in maybe a few years later.
yeah. I think I heard stories and I got in just like the next wave 2 of the people. I wasn't the first round. I think I was like 6 months in or something, maybe 6 months to a year. So yeah, that was my first app. It wasn't really a game. It was more of just a special effects, but it had game effects in it because lightning bolts are used in games, aren't they? Of course. And then I just started making other games and apps, and I had another one that was like 2 years later had lightning bolts in it, and it went to number 1 in the free chart, which was called Smash Dude, and it was this character you could like electrocute and shoot with like AK-47s and just decimate him. But that was quite interesting. That my third product I released was also a lightning app.
Let me just grab. I think I got a link to Smash Dude, so I'm gonna just share that for the audience here. Is this one?
Yeah, click on the iPhone version. Yeah, click on the iPhone tab because it's got more. You can see more.
There we go.
Yeah, so
I see.
It's a bit great. Yeah, so you get this like character, and you can like customize them with different eyes and like different skins and stuff. And so I've got the lightning bolt effects there in the first, which I think, to be honest, that looks pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good lightning effects, considering that was done like on an iPhone 3GS.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look bad at all.
And then then there's like paintballs and laser beams and fire.
It's basically you torture this little dummy kind of guy.
Yeah.
Oh, good rating.
Yeah. I had like
helps me out when I get mad.
Yeah, it had like some people loved it so much. They said some quite rude things how much they loved it. Sure. But I can't repeat them actually. But I'll tell you after. But yeah, so that was quite good. So that wasn't really a game.
So that was your
like,
first game, but yeah, it was.
It's like a clicker game almost. So you earned coins for like beating him up. So the more you beat him up, the more coins you got, and then the more things you could upgrade. So it was like an idle game, but it wasn't a full-on idle game with upgradable mechanics. It was just like you just clicked and got coins and like passed the time. And I did a couple of other games. One was I did a Flappy Bird clone called Sketchplane. Which I made in 3 days.
Sarah Tobby started as a Flappy Bird clone, so no.
Oh, right, yeah.
So what's that called?
Yeah, Sketchplane. I'm thinking of. I've still got it. It's still out. I might bring it out as a Thndr game because it could work as a Thndr game.
Let me find that.
It wouldn't take me long to, only take me a couple of days to swap it out.
It's not there actually.
Sketchplane.
If I go to your company, maybe it'll be there, right? Here we go.
Firezoo.com. It's probably on that one.
I've got it. I found it. Sketchplane, Endless Tapper. This looks a bit like Doodle Jump, not Flappy Bird. You remember the game?
Yeah, so I combined the aesthetic of Doodle Jump.
No,
it's actually quite good.
That actually does look quite fun. Actually, I think that like the other game I think is aged, but I don't think this game is aged. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, it can't age, can it? Because of the style. But so each different like plane has different physics. So like the blimp goes up, and the helicopter does something different. And then there's different levels, that have different obstacles, and like the mine level there the mines move up and down, and those things like chomp you. And then there's the saws.
Yeah.
So I could like no one really. So the thing is, no one really plays this game anymore. But I reckon if I put Bitcoin in it, this has made it a Thndr game, it would get like many more downloads.
Go for it. I can't say
Yeah, I just feel a bit cheeky. So the other game I did do was Turbo 84. So that is one that I have revamped, similar to what you did with Saratobi.
Was that on FireZoo before, and you moved it to Thndr Games?
It used to be a
okay.
Yeah, it used to be on FireZoo. So I transferred it over, updated it, and added some new like improvements to it.
Yeah.
Did the Bitcoin thing in it.
I have like a bunch of games that I want to bring back with Lightning, but the problem is I made them all in like Objective-C and not in Unity.
Oh yeah.
So, like, it just can't be bothered to like rewrite the whole code base or something. So
yeah, and like you've got to reteach yourself how to do Objective-C as well.
Oh, it all changed. It all changed to Swift, right? And then it's like, anyway, I don't want to go into a developer conversation here, but it was like the code won't run because like Apple have just changed so many things that it would be a nightmare, and like the engine. Anyway, but this in the graveyard of games, but
oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Maybe you could get someone like outsource it to some chap on Fiverr, who you say, I just need you to get this to work, and then maybe you can bring it back to life.
Maybe, yeah. So not a bad idea actually, but yeah, they weren't like good games anyway. Actually, to be honest.
Oh, okay, all right.
I was like,
leave them in the dustbin then.
I had the phase where when I was like started app development was because like you hear these stories about someone's made like a lightning bolt app and or a farting app, and they're like number one in the app store and they've quit the job. So I thought, I know, I'm gonna make a bunch of apps. So I just went through. I just like thought that instead of making one great app, I'll make a bunch of low quality ones, that kind of thing. So I had that kind of phase, and and Saratobi was the one that became popular when I put Bitcoin in it.
Yeah, and that's a good game as well. It's got good because I'm in the MintGox Discord. Everyone who's listening should check out the MintGox Discord, of course. And I look at the Saratobi tournament, and everyone's like exchanging tips and tricks on how to get a better score. And there's like real strategy behind some of these scores, isn't there? So it's actually got depth to that game, which is good.
Yeah, like, well, it's kind of, it wasn't intended. It was originally a Flappy Bird clone.
So the first thing you designed, first way you designed it is the way it turned out, kind of thing. And
I should share a video of the original one. So it was originally I had to learn Swift because Apple like made this new language and I had to learn it for my job. And so like this thing came out, somebody made Flappy Bird in a day in Swift, and here's how he did it, kind of thing. So I made it. And actually, originally I changed it to a spaceship, and you have to move the spaceship and land before your fuel runs out. But it was a bit boring, so I changed it to a monkey. Then fine. So yeah, it's kind of developed by itself, but.
The monkey graphics, iconic, isn't it? It's really cool. Every time I see it on Twitter, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a cool monkey.
I need to make more swag.
It's literally a mascot, isn't it? It's like you couldn't get a better mascot for your product.
My wife designed that actually, so I should give a shout out to her.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she designed it. I can't take all the credit.
She's the brains behind the operation.
She is. So if don't tell her, she'll be demanding royalties and stuff.
Okay.
She'll have it in the divorce.
What? Oh, sorry to hear that.
No, I'm joking. Yeah. Okay, so you were actually like a proper game developer, and that was like your kind of, I suppose, your bread and butter, your income. So was it not quite risky to start experimenting with Bitcoin and Lightning? I think that's talking to developers. That's like getting into crypto is like it's. I think a lot of people, and I think myself, I like to get into Lightning. I don't think about like the financial aspect of it. It's just because it's cool and I'm a nerd and I want to add it to my game. But you come across to me as somebody who's actually needs to think more business-like about it. So like, what would you say have been the business advantages or disadvantages, the challenges or the opportunities for adding Lightning into like a proper game?
So the reason why I did it was because I made these games from like 2009 to say, I would say 2016-ish was when I was like really doing the mobile game stuff. And then instead of like, I finished, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Turbo 84 or what, but I decided to start doing something else because I was kind of burnt out. So I started doing like property development for a while, like, buying flats and doing them up, and I did up like some conversions and stuff.
Oh.
So I still had my developer who was keeping FireZoo, like doing the updates, making sure everything, like we were adding features and stuff. And then, like I said earlier, I was always like, I wouldn't say I was involved in Bitcoin, but I had some Bitcoin in 2013. I did some mining in 2014. Like I was always like tinkering with it. So when the bull market hit in 2017, that was like when I was doing my property development stuff. And I was like, Jesus, like I need to really pay attention to this again. Like I need to see like really get deep into it. So I started down the rabbit hole properly. Whereas before I was just doing it from the tech side, just like experimenting. And then 2018, I went down the rabbit hole and just thought, I've got nothing to lose if I want to do Bitcoin games, because like I might as well give it a go. There's an opportunity here to do something that not many people were doing. So when the Lightning Net, be early in it. Like, and I could tell I was early because the only person I could find to talk about it was you, this cartoon duck on the internet.
Still amazing. It amazes me. I think we'll get onto this later, but I think that's probably because all the other game developers went over to Ethereum and I stayed behind. But
yeah, I think they're a bit short-sighted there. And then, like the opportunity I thought was a marketing opportunity, which is making a really cool Bitcoin brand, a gaming brand that's like in the Bitcoin culture and part of, Bitcoin. Because I knew that adding Bitcoin to a game, especially on iOS and Android, is going to be like pretty challenging because number one, it's crypto, and number two, like rewarding players with prizes is kind of a minefield if you want to get it released on the app stores. And also, you can't. The other reason why I saw it as an opportunity is you can't really advertise, like all the big gaming companies. Their model is based around like performance-driven marketing, where they can performance-driven advertising, where they can spend $100,000 a day on Google and Facebook and get their apps up in the charts and make loads of money. But you can't promote Bitcoin games on all those platforms, so they can't enter the space because they can't. Their formula
don't, because they don't allow crypto ads. You're saying, or
because you can't do crypto ads or ads that have like prizes in general, not generally not allowed. So they couldn't, like I found this when I did Bitcoin Bounce. I approached the publisher and they were like, yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. This was in November 2019. And they wanted to like publish it with Bitcoin in it. And I was like, fuck, this could be like, my first one could be like the hit we all need for Bitcoin gaming without me even doing any marketing, just give it to these guys. And then they looked into it and they're like, oh, we can't do it because we can't promote it on Facebook. So that's where there's the opportunity. I was like, oh, well, if no one can do it, none of the big guys can do it. Like I'm like this space for the small guy.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna have to do it grassroots and build a cool brand and just have a street team of fans who are like promoting your game. Like it's got to be a different way to promote it. And I had nothing to lose. I was like, might as well give it a go.
Sure.
So that's why I started to do it. And then the reason I've carried on this long, it's very difficult. It's a very difficult project. But the people who follow the project, it's like I keep it going because of those guys, like the fans who download it. I call them fans, but they're not really fans. They're more like helping me. They're like my testers. The same with you, right? It's like a tiny community of people who are helping develop this.
Yeah, I don't get like messages from other games and non-Bitcoin games, right? You don't really have this, as much of a community.
It's the first time I had like a proper the community is like ready-made. So and everyone in the community is like-minded. So it's and they've all got a shared interest, which is Bitcoin as well. So that's the reason I persevere, even though there's so many pitfalls and difficulties and challenges, is that the community aspect so strong that makes up for it.
So, like, what would you say the pitfalls and challenges are? Like, you've mentioned like restrictions with like advertising and
Yeah.
maybe Apple being strict, but like,
Well, the number one thing is if you add Bitcoin to your game, you're not a Bitcoin company. You're a cheat detection company. You're 90% of your time is cheat detection or like that's got to be your focus. Is like as soon as it's not Bitcoin, any prizes in the game,
yeah,
you
true.
become a
It
cheat
happens
detection
with like
company, and that's
non-Bitcoin games as well. People cheat,
yeah,
don't they?
it's not
Incentives
it's not
changes
really a
though.
Bitcoin specific thing, but that's how I feel. I'm like I'm a cheat detection company. Because putting the Bitcoin in is not too hard because there's the Zebedee SDK now, where you can put your Bitcoin rewards or purchases like via their SDK, or you can do it yourself with a non-custodial. Like it's harder, but you can use the Lightning Labs REST API on their node if you know how to run a node and want to run a node. You're a hardcore Bitcoiner like me, you can do it that way. So once you've got that set up, then you have all the normal. Like it's hard enough making a game anyway. Still got to make a good game. You still got to promote it, and now you've got 100,000 cheats. So those are
Yeah, I
cheats
can.
I'd say the main.
What I found, because I have the same problem as well, but one of the problems is trying to. There's a fine line between a power user and a bot, and sometimes
Yeah.
power users can be like bots. And if your like bot
Mm-hmm.
detection bans them, then you actually get somebody who says, "Hey, I got banned," and you're like, "Are you really playing 20 hours a day?" It's like, and it turns out, yes, they are.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
found kind of hard. But then obviously some people like I always like to say this funny story I had with this old Bitcoin game, like which is like called Takara, which is like Pokemon Go. Yeah, we have to like go to places around the world and pick up Bitcoin. And one of the things you do kind of to detect cheats is you have like a speed detection, right? If somebody has flown faster than an airplane, like they've faked their location and they've gone from like
Yeah.
London to Paris, and so you kind of ban them. But I had one guy who he was playing it on the runway on his plane, and the plane took off, and he must have had like good tailwind, and they made the plane go faster than I thought a plane would have, And he landed, and
Yeah.
he collected some more Bitcoin at the other airport. And I banned him, and then he actually sent me his plane ticket and everything, showing like literally, So yeah, that was kind of
Yeah.
a hardcore one. And then there was this other guy who I added some Bitcoin in. I think I added it in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, knowing that if somebody picked that up, it's like a honey trap. If you pick that Bitcoin up, you're obviously cheating. But this guy was adamant
Yeah.
that he went on a boat and he went over there. I don't believe him.
Yeah, I need to add some honey traps to my games. That's a great idea.
Yeah. I don't want to give away secrets, but yeah. But honey traps are good. Also, like I had a part of my game where if somebody cheated, I didn't ban them. I just put them in like a fake game, and they were playing, and they wouldn't realize the ban until like days later. It'd be like, "Welcome, your Bitcoin will be paid out in a week. In 7 days." And when
Yeah.
just kind of shove them. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting kind of problem, but like I don't
I had
know.
a lot of cheats.
Go
I
on,
was going
sorry.
to say I had a lot of cheats last week, 2 weeks ago. So I had the I don't know if you'd seen in Turbo 84 and iOS, I put in a spinner like the fold spinner. So every day you could spin the wheel, and you could potentially win some Bitcoin or some other currency in the game or prizes in the game. And uh, basically, like that got hacked. I won't say how because otherwise people might work out how I've unhacked it. But I didn't realize it got hacked until I checked like the daily active users for that day. Like one day I was like, how many daily active users I got? And I had like 10,000. And I was like, that's quite a lot more than I usually get. That doesn't seem right. So I disabled the Bitcoin in the spinner, and like the next day immediately like went straight back down. So like there's like I don't know. You can't tell sometimes if it's one person cheating with 1,000 bots, or if it's like 1,000 people all doing the same thing. It's
Or both.
probably all you need is one guy to just spin up a massive farm of emulated devices
Yeah.
or whatever, and then they can just exploit.
It's really a shame because this really like it limits what you can kind of do in a way, and it also makes the UI and UX a bit poorer than it would ultimately be. Like you need like more captures or I don't know something to stop it. But I kind of think that cloud gaming could be an interesting solution to this. People never
Yeah.
download your game, they just stream the game and they play on the monitor. I think that could really, because ultimately, like the thing that makes it easy to cheat is they have the client, the software in their possession, right? And they have access to all the code. It can be decompiled. They can intercept it. So I don't know. Maybe that's something to look at. I don't know where the state of that is with mobile apps, for instance, but maybe it seems to be like a thing for the big players at the moment, like on Google Stadia.
Yeah.
But there's no like indie solution.
It's interesting as well because like that's a good solution. But so the thing that I notice with the Bitcoin games is they get played a lot by like people with bad internet connections and like people in like Venezuela and Brazil and
true.
Like, and a lot of the bugs I have is like their internet has been switched off for an hour, so the kind of game hasn't synced up properly. Like they're like, I didn't get my prize today, and I'm like, well, have you checked is your internet working? And they're like, oh no, it's not. I'll wait till I go back to the coffee shop or whatever. So there's still this like market of people who just can't be served by that technology.
Do you think the economics of the concept? Because a lot of question I get asked is like, well, you have a game that gives out Bitcoin. How does that economically make any sense? You know, most games you want to get money from the player, but if you have a game that gives out money, you know, like have you found it hard to make it sustainable, or like I don't know?
Oh, to be honest, I've kind of not had to worry about that because basically, I just bought like $1,000 or whatever it was of Bitcoin at the start, and I was like, this will last me a month or two, and then I'll have to buy some more, and I'll figure it out later. But what happened was that value of that Bitcoin went up so much that I've still got it to this day, like giving out this Bitcoin. So I haven't actually had to address that, but it is something I think about because it's sustainable because you don't actually have to give people a lot of Bitcoin to get them to do stuff, is what I've learned. Like you can give someone 10 sats and they'll play your game, or 1 sat, they'll probably still open your game. Like... Yeah, I might as well play for a sat. And if you like the game anyway, you might as well play again. So you don't have to give a lot of money for people to want to play your game more for having the sats in there. And but the problem is the classic formula for mobile games to have a successful game is your cost of acquisition of a customer has to be less than the lifetime value of the customer. So if your customer cost you $1 to advertise and get them to install your game, you need to make $1 from them watching ads or buying things, right? So that's that's the simple formula. But then when you add Bitcoin in, you've got this long tail risk of giving that person money over time. So you've also got to measure how much they're making and then how much you're spending over time, because eventually they could go profitable. And then like 3 weeks later, they're still playing the game, but not buying anything because they bought everything. And they're not interacting with the ads anymore, but they're still winning stuff. Yeah. So then they start losing you money. And one thing to track is like, do they eventually lose all the money that you made? It's like a long tail risk.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because people, also, I kind of have an issue with the earn Bitcoin playing games because ultimately, as a game developer, you want more money from them than they get from you. Otherwise, you're a charity in a way. So that's why it's like, but I kind of think maybe there's like if you think about it per user, then there's kind of a paradox. But if you think about it amongst users, so you have like some people who they get Bitcoin, but maybe they don't actually make money. But by them playing it, by them making the audience bigger, you get like these, every game has like people who, like they don't play the game to make money on Bitcoin. They just like it because it's a Bitcoin game and they like getting tips, but ultimately they'll spend a lot more on like in-app purchases or other things. So they kind of compensate for the person who isn't economically, as productive, I think. I don't know if you agree with that.
The tricky thing is I agree with that. But what you have to do is measure these things, because when you have your marketing campaigns, you have to make sure the people you're acquiring for $1 are not the people who are just playing it and not telling anyone about it and just getting all the games. So maybe like a 20-year-old to 25-year-old guy in Brazil is not going to buy anything or click on any ads or tell anyone about the game. But like the 35 to 40-year-old cryptocurrency enthusiast might buy loads of stuff and tell loads of people. So you have to target the right people. So it's quite a big undertaking to measure all these, spinning plates.
Yeah.
And not many, like all of the traditional tools that you use in the mobile gaming space don't allow for like you can get tools that measure the lifetime value of your users, but they don't have the feature that the user loses you money when they go in, because technically the user could download your game, cost you $1, they never buy anything, never watch an ad, never do anything, just lose you money.
Yeah.
but you're saying, like, yeah, on the whole, it can be like that. You can compensate for that person by someone else who does make you money.
I think it's also
That's
how
very
the game
important
is
to
funded,
measure
right?
it.
You know, so obviously they could make money by clicking on ads and stuff. So in a way, then ultimately, you know, sometimes the ad company might lose the money, not necessarily you.
Yeah.
But obviously that can't go on forever, you know.
No, then the ad company will just stop giving you ads, and that's one thing I know. Like a frequently asked question I get is like, so in my games I've got quite a cute little ad system where
So
I
just
have
stop
the
you one
ticket.
second there. I just want to people
Yeah.
asking questions, as people know. We'll do the
Okay,
Q
that's
and A
fine.
after at the end of the podcast. So feel free to ask questions, but yeah, I'll answer your questions right at the end. So yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, sorry, going on. You're saying?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say. So in the for those viewers or listeners, if you played it, sorry, but I'll just quickly explain my games. They have a prize draw. So when you
I
play the
haven't actually
games,
mentioned your games, have we? How they work? We're just
yeah.
assuming
So
people watching the MintGox podcast would
well,
know about the games.
yeah. So they have a prize draw. So there's tickets scattered in the games, and when you play it, you collect tickets like you would a normal virtual currency. But those tickets count in the prize draw. So every day, the more tickets you earn, the more chance you've got of winning the bigger Bitcoin prizes. How I do the advertising is that as you play the game, you can't possibly collect all the tickets because it's just impossible. So when you reach the end of the level, there's an advert, an optional advert that's like, hey, do you want to watch an advert and you can get all the tickets you missed? So it's like win-win. The advertiser gets their ad, I get the ad revenue, and the user gets extra tickets in the tournament. So, but what happens now is like if a user doesn't get that pop-up because there's no ads available for that user, they start complaining to me because they want to watch the advert now. Like I actually get complaints that there's not enough ads. It's really weird thing that's never happened to me before. But yeah, so the ad thing, I can't remember what my point was about the ads now, but let me just think.
About whether the ads, you know, if the because if the ads,
yeah, so they
go
get
on.
so addicted to collecting these tickets and watching videos to get the tickets. So they watch so many ads and never click on the ads, I think, that the ad network, like you said, blocks them off because they're not clicking on anything and they're just sending them videos to watch and they're not doing anything. So because they're not interacting with the ads and making any money for anyone, the ad network then cuts them off. No more ads for you. And then I get complaints because they're like, I need my ads so I can get my extra tickets.
I had the other
So there's all
issue
these weird
with
mechanics that happen.
Saratobi where people realized that because I had a model a while back that because of the on-chain fees, I would basically do like a payment once a month at the end of the month. So you'd play and you'd kind of earn money, and at the end of the month you do a one larger payment and I'd batch it. And what people realized is the more they clicked on ads, the more money they would have each month, right? Because how it would work is I would basically get the total ad revenue and then divide it between, you know, people who have played the most, who've got the most coins. But then people said, okay, hey, this month I clicked the ads lots of times, I got more money. So they were realizing that, you know, by clicking ads. But then it became, I think they detected that they were clicking too much, that it sounds, you know, it wasn't natural, right? So obviously,
Yeah.
you can't just like click an ad and, you know, you can't make yourself money because, you know, they weren't actually going to download that app, that kind of thing. So then that kind of, you know, if they click too much, then you kind of get, you know, your traffic stops as well. So
yeah, well, the ad companies are very, you know, hot on this, and like the ones that I've signed up for, they even make me wait 3 months before they pay me out.
yeah.
So normally you only have to wait a month. So they increased my kind of payout times and that kind of thing because it's all kind of, if these products aren't made in the right way, you have to think about, like, it's really weird. You have to think about it. If you're making a business based around advertising, you need to think in terms of the advertiser, like what they're going to want. They're not going to want, like you said, people just clicking and clicking on stuff. They're going to want quality traffic.
They want people to ultimately download and pay for the products or something, right? You know.
And I think that's why a lot of these kind of clickbaity games that were a bit crap at the start kind of failed, and it's because there's so many ads and they're so like forced on the users that it just ends up not being effective.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's interesting. You know, I suppose that's kind of the the ways to monetize games is one is you have skill-based games where people pay, and not everybody wins, but people who skill win, so they get paid on skill. And they're kind of self-funding, right? But then the other game, free-to-play games, I think at the moment, sponsors or ads is the only way to kind of give the Bitcoin out. So
yeah, I think sponsors works really well for the Bitcoin games, and that's something that doesn't work very well in traditional games. It's very hard to get a sponsor because sponsors want to be associated with a brand, and normally games don't have there's not really the brand, like that's not the focus
Bitcoin
really.
There's still room to be a brand, right? Because there's not that many games,
Yeah.
right? So any large exchanges who are adding Lightning who want to get users, make sure to reach out to Jack and sponsor his games, and you'll get a lot of
I think you get a lot of love because I have a Twitch. I do Twitch competitions on a Saturday, and I'm very good at shilling people's products on that. If anyone's got any cool things to give away, I do giveaways as well. Let me know.
Nice. Yeah. I was gonna say once I did a partnership with Coinbase before they were too big to return my emails, and when they were back in the days where you just email the bosses and stuff, and they used Saratobi as a way to onboard people onto Coinbase, so it was really profitable because you send Bitcoin, but it got sent to your Coinbase account, and then if that user bought Bitcoin on Coinbase, I'd get $10 or something. It's really crazy. So that kind of onboarding mechanism, I really think that's a big opportunity for something like Kraken or one of the big exchanges who are adding Lightning. It's a good way to acquire users, perhaps. So I'm just putting that out there into the internet to see if that reaches any large exchange.
Yeah, well, games are an amazing way to advertise, and it's probably cheaper. It's probably quite cheap, especially when you're because the audience that you have in these Bitcoin games is ready made for these other games.
And they want to have that bridge to fiat from Lightning as well. Some people do, right? So that's the biggest question I get is well, how do I what do I do with my Lightning? Can I send it to an exchange? Well, not really at the moment, So I think really there's an opportunity for them. One thing I was going to ask you about is you said that you got back into adding Bitcoin, or you got back into Bitcoin during the kind of 2017 kind of bull market or boom. It's always a good time, as it starts. Now, I think you could probably say NFTs is a real big kind of boom or mania around it. Have you ever thought about adding tokens or NFTs to your games? Be one of the first NFT people, or?
I do closely look at it. So I've considered it deeply. I'm not just going to write it off. I think there's some good ideas there. I don't think I can personally necessarily do it because I want my brand to be like a Bitcoin only. Everything else is crap. Bitcoin's the best thing ever. NFTs
is that because you're a Bitcoin maximalist, or is it from a more technical business?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm 100% maximalist because I bought all the shittest of shit coins back in the day. I had Feather Coin and Quark Coin. I don't know if anyone remembers Quark Coin. That was a massive scam, and I got scammed by something called Stable Coin. It was just called Stable Coin. I was like, oh, that sounds good. It'd be better to not be. I just bought it because of the name. I was such an idiot. So I went for all that, and then obviously I don't think I bought into any ICOs or anything.
It came a bit later, didn't it? Right? You probably had.
Yeah, no, I got back interested in Bitcoin again in the bull market, but I already had some Bitcoin. I wasn't buying anything. I was just kind of holding, and seeing what the hell was going on. Because when I bought my Bitcoin in 2013, I was like, just hold this till it gets to 100,000 or zero. That's it.
NFTs are kind of just an ICO kind of shitcoin phase, and it'll just die out, and there's nothing really there, or.
I think it's stupid in general. I don't really think it's very good for artists. If I've got some friends who are artists, and if they ask me about it, I would say I wouldn't take you seriously as an artist if you did that. So I don't think it's very good for artists. Because the concept is basically it's a time-stamped hash. It's like a hash of a file that's been time-stamped by a trusted server or something, and then stored on a blockchain. It's just
the file hasn't even been time-stamped. It's just been kind of linked to it because someone said this token represents this art. But I
Yeah,
guess you could
yeah,
hash
yeah.
it in the transaction, but I don't think people
Well,
necessarily do that. I don't know.
I think they do. I think like what Satoshi's Games are doing with their game NFTs is, I haven't looked in it that deeply, but I understand is that in the hash, part of the data that gets hashed is a timestamp, so that it makes it unique. So if someone hashed the same file again, it would have a different timestamp, so the hash would be different, sort of thing, you know. So you
Yeah.
always know which one is the first original ones, because you can only create the hash with the specific timestamp. So it is like there is like logic there. Like it does represent like a receipt in time of an object that is digital, but that's just like no one cares about the receipt of paper that you buy something with. Just throw those away. They're not worth anything. The thing that's worth something is what the receipt represents. And if some digital object is like duplicated, you can just duplicate it. It's the receipt is worthless because you can't stop people copying it. And but I
So
think it's not very good for artists or
yeah, that's
musicians.
kind of talking
The only
about
thing,
like NFTs as a use of like say like the art collectible side of NFTs, right? That's kind of one phase of it is like the people, they have art and it's like a certificate or a receipt that, and there's only one of them, but it's not really anything other than saying that you have it and I can trade it, right?
yeah, it's a marketing gimmick to say like it's just like when you have. I've bought some stuff before, like special vinyl records from my favorite bands, and they include something in it. Like I had this one from Radiohead that they took the original tape recording from OK Computer and put like they snipped bits of the tape that they recorded the album on and put them with these like
Yeah.
vinyls. But it was just to make the vinyl like worth more. The vinyl is what is worth something, but these little add-ons just to kind of make it seem special and collectible. And that's what the NFT is. It's not the NFT isn't worth something. It's only worth something if the objects you have possession and you're the only one who has possession of the object the NFT is with.
I
Because
wonder if
it's just like
yeah,
a
it's again like some people would say like, a signed autograph from a band is worthless or worth something, right? Some people say that's worthless. It's just like people writing a piece of paper, but there seems to be some sort of mystique that somebody, say like Tom York, is that right? The
Mhm.
redhead, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he held a pen with his hand and he signed this paper and this paper was in his hand and this is the paper. But say that he had a pen on like a tablet and signed something and sent you the JPEG, it wouldn't have the mystique. But the whole
Mhm.
fact that he held it, that's kind of still nonsense, right? From like a physics point of view, but yet it feels more
Yeah.
real. So I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. From that point of view, I agree because that is kind of cool. Like, if your favorite artist, you know, put in the time to make an NFT, that is worth something because his time is worth something. Like, it's not worth zero, and his credibility is worth something.
I'm arguing
You know,
it's not worth something just because it physically wasn't
I
touched. I'm not saying that's a weird, but
yeah, yeah.
but
No, but I'm saying that
it
some
should.
people will find it
Yeah.
worth something. You know,
So
like
maybe
you
it's
said,
open to interpretation.
some
Yeah.
people do buy the
Maybe it's
pen.
because
Some people
we're
would buy the pen.
yeah. Maybe it's just like a thing, because we
It's the collectors, isn't it?
well we remember the time before the internet, probably, right? We were young and we used to play outside and stuff. But maybe in the future, when everybody lives online, it just completely makes sense. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, just saying what I said out loud, like I never really said that thought that the person who's made the NFT has put some time in it. They are a credible person that you're interested in. So like you said, the pen was worth something. Someone bought the pen that someone like Tom York touched
yeah.
because he touched it. So these things do have value.
I remember seeing
They'd have
Johnny
more
Rotten
value if
had a
they were
video
when they're
when
attached to something.
but
Sorry.
Johnny Rotten, he had a video I once. He had this like a TV show, Johnny Rotten TV or something I used to watch years ago. And he actually did this whole thing where he think he got like he got like stuff that Kurt Cobain wore and something, a guitar that somebody else played, and he burnt them all. And he said it's just nonsense, right? It doesn't matter that he wore it or he touched it. And I kind of feel like that's what we're saying about NFTs. It's but he saw
Yeah,
that in the
yeah,
physical world. But I don't know. That's the weird thing about NFTs and like as collectibles. It's like because it's a collectible, it's basically down to people's taste, right? And you can't question that. You
Yeah.
can't say that doesn't make sense because it's, I
People
think
buy
that,
all sorts of crap, don't they?
yeah, I think that like a lot of music doesn't make sense, but and I don't know. Anyway, like, what do you think about gaming then? Because I think that's like the collectible side, but people often argue that NFTs are good for gaming because they have properties that conventional game items don't, and you can add more features and properties to your game. Have you not thought about that at all? Or
Yeah, so the pitch for NFTs in general is like when someone sells it to someone else, you can make the smart contract in a way that you get like a royalty basically every time it changes hands, which I personally don't like because then you don't really own the NFT because you're basically renting it, you've licensed it off someone and giving them a royalty kind of thing. And then the yeah, so for games, there's that aspect of it that I'm not particularly keen on. But you don't have to take the royalty on your smart contract. Just I know that some do. Like I think
yeah,
the engine platform on Ethereum. I think that's on Ethereum. I don't actually know, but that does that mechanic where every time your game item is transferred, the game developer gets a cut. But the other thing about it is what's interesting about the NFTs with games is this artificial scarcity of the NFTs because you make things artificially scarce, you can make them much more expensive to buy, which you have to do because if you get people people buy your NFTs, they can sell them to your. They're basically anyone who buys your NFTs becomes your competitor. If you're selling a load of cars in your game and you're only selling like 100 Ferraris, um, your people who buy those 100 Ferraris could then sell them to other users of the game, and you can't sell like any more Ferraris. So you have to limit it to 100, and then also make the price really expensive to compensate for the fact you can't sell these NFTs to anyone else because they'll. Well, you can, but
I
other
guess it's
people.
a
There's
little bit
like
similar
other
to
people
what game
selling them.
developers did, where they would stop you reselling a game by putting like a license key in there.
Yeah, it's like Photoshop. They don't want you reselling the license to Photoshop, do they? You have to. Every human has to buy their own license. They
You're
can't.
saying from a
They're not
game developer point of
non-transferable.
view, there's no incentive to add an NFT because you're allowing resale value of game items. You know what you're saying?
Yeah, and if you want to do it, you have to change the mechanics of the sale so that the price is expensive and there's limited supply, so that you can make up for the short. Because you're gonna have to, you can sell a lot less, but you're gonna have to sell them for a more higher price. Whereas in my games, I have you can buy a car, but everyone can buy the car who plays the game. So I can charge like $1 for the car. But if I said like I'm going to make an NFT that you can sell to each other, like I got to charge more because someone who's bought it for $1 uses it for a few days is just going to sell it to someone else, and then there's going to be some market of NFTs going around that I can't compete with because everyone will just buy it for cheap on there because I'm not in control of it. So if I want to sell the NFTs, like if I want to make NFTs, I need to limit the supply and make more money on those sales to compensate the fact I'm not going to sell en masse anymore. I'm only going to sell 1,000, not 100,000. And then also you start having to create more content for your game because if you're only selling 1,000 things, you need to sell 1,000 things like once a week. You're going to have to make a new NFT to like sell to your customers again
That
and
was one
again.
thing I didn't, because I played around with NFTs in games or tokens in games, and one thing is I had this idea. Yeah, I'm going to put this Satoshi kind of character in the game, and there's only going to be one of them. It's so rare, and then it dawned on me, well, no one's going to enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
by literally, if you make a game item that's rare, it's like no one will know about it apart from one person who probably hoards it, and then will try and sell it on a deck somewhere or something.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. That's why I kind of it's not like say like an artist paints a picture, he only paints one. Well, people can still enjoy it because they can see it in a museum or they can see copies of it, right? So I don't know.
Mm.
That was like something that didn't, from an incentive point of view, from a game developer. I guess they would say there's an incentive from a game developer that you could justify selling a game item for a lot of money because people will feel buying it as an investment. So
Yeah.
they won't worry about putting like a buying something for like $10,000 or something because they think they can sell it for $15,000 or so. Do
Mm.
you think there's like not a monetization aspect there, or do you think that's just like
Well,
over
kind of. I
exaggerated?
guess I was trying to. My point earlier was maybe I didn't explain it very well because, to be honest, I've not really externalized these thoughts. You know, never really spoke to anyone about it. But my thought is that you know you need to make you're going to lose money by doing an NFT because you've created a market that competes with your shop.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to change the mechanics of the NFTs. So you've got to charge a lot more, like you said. So the monetization aspect your whole monetization of is different because you have to charge more for less things to compensate the fact that if you don't do that, you've got a competing market and people will just buy your in-game items from cheap somewhere else or get them for free if somebody doesn't want them anymore.
What do you feel about the idea that NFTs allow game items to be used in multiple games? So this concept of that, if you have, say, in Bitcoin Bounce, if say like, one of the power ups is an NFT, somebody can use that power up in another game, say Bitcoin Rally, for example. And you've kind of got like these game
Yeah,
items which are liberated or kind of unchained from a single game.
I think that is a weak thing argument to make for people to say that's good because I don't think that you're going to get like a lot of traction with that idea because it's so hard to make a game and there's so many bugs and stuff that happen in games. It's quite hard to test games, and just like the extra resources required is almost like a vanity project for a game studio to do something like that. It's not like someone like me who's trying to like grassroots build something that's sustainable. I'm not going to waste time like making someone else's games NFT compatible with mine. It's just take too long. So I don't see it happening apart from like anecdotal cases. Um, but I think there are. I have thought about some ways it potentially could do it that are low effort. So, for example, you could make an NFT which has got no supply cap and it's free. And for example, it's a medal,
So it's an FT,
gold medal.
fungible token.
Yeah, yeah. It's just this gold medal that there's no supply, no cut price, and you play Bitcoin Bounce, one of my Thndr games, and you win the gold medal if you win a tournament, and then you play like Saratobi, you win this gold medal as well on Saratobi, and it's like you don't have to put any effort into integrating it. You can just mint the medal and it gets sent to their wallet or whatever, and then you can do interesting things like, say, if you possess this gold medal you can enter this special tournament, stuff like that. Like it could become a property required as part of someone's identity to enter tournaments or something. Something lightweight where there's not like loads of assets. Like you've not got a sword that's got to work in someone else's game or a car that's got to work in someone else's game. Because that's enough. You don't want someone buying a car. Like if you've got your racing game, BC Rally, if you bought someone could buy a car in that and transfer it into my game, I've suddenly got another competitor for selling cars in my game because someone could transfer a car from yours to mine. It's like, no, I'd rather just
I guess some people
sell the
say
same
that.
car as you in my game.
I guess like some people say it wouldn't be a car in your game. It would be something different. It would be like, say it's like the lightning car in my game. In your game, it would be like it would become like the lightning skin or something. So I don't know. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like all that stuff's like it's just not really realistic or practical to do it. It's just like, man, if you've got loads of money and you've got some like investor who's never made a game before but loves games or something, you could spend their money doing it.
Yeah, that's what people are doing, I think. Or
But like, it's
spending
not at
ICO.
the top of my list. It's not at the top of my list.
Okay, so
Cheats is at the top of my list.
August sounds good. Anyway, well, we actually did get you on this podcast for a reason, and that is to actually play Bitcoin Rally and do our Lightning Lap segment, which is basically we get our guests to do a lap in our Mario Kart style game where they do 4 tracks of Satoshi's Village and we rank them based on their score. So let me just get the leaderboard up. We can have a look at how people are doing. Folks. So currently on the top is Nicolas Dorier, but he was a madman. He was practicing for like weeks before. Stefan
Yeah, I
Livera
bet.
also
That's a
doing quite
tough
well.
score.
Below we have No Coiner Ned. That's the score you have to beat. He's just like my No Coiner friend. I got to set one single score. Not very good. Almost as bad as No Coiner Ned is King of Bedford. We had on last week. Peter McCormick. He blames his Mac keyboard. He blames his Mac keyboard. We got Brad Mills, and in the middle we have some of the folks from Coin Corner. Awesome guys.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. So you've been practicing a little bit. Do you have any?
Yeah, I had a bit of a practice this afternoon, a few laps, just like learning the track, because that's the important thing, isn't it? You need to learn the breaking points.
The point out, Jack doesn't have a gamepad as well, so is it a disadvantage? But
yeah, I'm doing it on the keyboard. It's really hard on the keyboard to steer because there's just full lock or not, isn't it? It's not like you can't gradually turn like you can on a D-pad sort of thing. Anyway, I've compensated for it.
Good. So, do you want to get the game open? And
yep.
Yeah, I'm going to. I forgot to tell you the password, so I will just DM you the password for you to join the game. And hold on.
Where are you going to DM me? Because we talk on so many different places.
I'll do it on Twitter if I can find that. Cool.
Interesting password.
Go. Yeah, also, I did say that we actually have added new UI to Bitcoin rallies. This is the first public appearance of it. So good thanks to our new game designer who is helping out with that. And
yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty sleek. And we got a new theme tune as well, which is a bit more laid back. Okay. So I'm just going to make the game now. The fun race. Go, and we'll do it in Europe. Call this Jack 2. Time trial mode and host as a spectator. Good, you should be able to join the game. Make sure you choose Satoshi Village and the Satoshi Cart because that's what everybody races on.
Okay, do I go to online?
Yeah, fun race online, join game.
Okay, yeah, join game. Continue as Jack.
I'm excited to see how you're going to do actually. Because,
you know what? I was practicing today, and I was like, "Oh, I could be really good at this game if I practice a bit more." Like, I feel like I'm going to get an average score, but I can see where I just can't execute the cornering sometimes. It's like it just takes one mistake on this track, and you've lost. It's like you almost lost your momentum, haven't you? And you can't.
Sure.
You can't claw it back. It's got to be a perfect lap.
Yep, exactly.
So whoever got to be Satoshi.
Yeah, be the Satoshi and Satoshi Village. Especially, it's going to be difficult when you're on the spot now. So. Yeah. Also, I'll be talking to you, distracting you.
When I do my Twitch stream for my competitions I do at the weekend, I try and play it and talk, and I'm awful when I'm on the stream, so I'm not expecting a good result. I'm trying to think what my favorite settings are. Let's go with that.
Oh yeah, okay. So Jack at the moment is tuning his cart. Cool.
Yeah, it's tuned.
Awesome.
I went for full on speed, and then I just tweaked the brakes a bit higher because there's a few chicanes on this.
Yeah, you get one extra point, don't you? So.
Yeah, the little bit of extra brake is very good. Can I use speed boosts on this, or is it only?
No, there's no power ups for this. Just take the random element out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I practiced without using the power ups, so that's good to know.
Good. So Jack will do 4 laps, and it's the best of his 4 laps, which will be the final score we'll add. So the first lap is a bit of a practice one because you start from 0, so don't worry too much. Just.
Is there any cows?
Yes, there's a cow.
Oh no!
I think maybe not. No, I think there is. There is not a cow. Sorry.
No, I can't see any on the map.
Yeah.
Right, okay, go. Right, you got to stay on the inside line. I noticed here, otherwise you do a big jump.
Yeah. That probably makes sense.
Get like, oh.
Because from a racing line point of view, you're best going on the outside. But if it causes you to jump because of the angle, maybe it's not as good. That's a good there. Most people crash there. Okay, we're good.
I was getting too cocky. I was like, yeah, I'm fucking nailing this, and then you bloody put me off.
Yeah, I have to be entertaining. Also, I need to not disturb you, so you need to practice ignoring me. Maybe turn the speaker off.
Yeah.
Your first place, though. That's good.
Better than the last time I played with you. Last, I think. Well, this is tricky. Those are tricky if you don't get that. Have to get the speed boost, and then you have to go through these S's without crashing. Otherwise your whole time is dead.
Risky. Don't go for the speed boost and
This
play
is
it
it.
safe. You could have. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This could be.
No, you got to go for the speed boost, otherwise you've got no chance.
Sure. Curious about this. Oh.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all
You might have to mute. You might have to mute me or get the bleeper in.
in the chat saying anything.
Oh, crashed again.
I think the top community score on this is 44 seconds. There are a couple of faster scores on the leaderboard, but I think that was because people found the shortcut, so I need to remove them. 44 seconds is crazy, but yeah, I think your first lap is better than this
I
one.
haven't done very well so far.
That's the thing. If you play it safe and don't aim for the top, but if you try and get as fast as possible, you're more likely to crash. And
I'm never. Still got 2 laps to give it a go.
I didn't say anything.
Oh,
then.
that was a bloody good lap, wasn't it? That was a good lap.
You had a couple
I
of
felt
crashes,
good on
but
that
they
one.
didn't seem to slow you down.
Yeah, I got really lucky. I don't know. The gods were with me there, weren't they? Those
Yeah,
crashes.
I think you hit them at the right angle, right? I don't know.
Ah! It slowed me down for that chicane anyway.
I think it's when we
Come on.
talk. We're just quiet.
Yeah, I was in the zone there in that last lap. It's because I got so much luck as well.
Oh, we're
Taking
getting
me
in the
on.
zone.
Really good at these chicanes, if I don't mind saying so.
Yeah, say so.
I'm pretty good. This is the fun bit of the lap. I like this bit. 'Cause it's
This is
really
like-
tricky to get the power up, and then these chicanes are like nuts. These are nuts. Absolute madness. Oh, I nailed it. Hey!
Awesome.
Man.
So I just need to hide this now so I can take a look at the scores because I want to reveal it
Oh, I
on
feel
the
like
stream.
I got under 60 seconds, surely, on one of those.
Okay, so I'm going to. How should we do this? Let me close this. And let me find my screen.
I reckon I did 56 seconds.
Okay, 56 is what you're going for.
Yeah.
Let-
I lowballed it as well. I actually think it's a bit better than that.
Okay, so 56 would put you. Oh, you mean 56 would put you 4th or 5th?
Okay.
Below or above Ryan. So where do you think 50? Good 56 or a bad 56?
Yeah, I mean, when I practiced, my best I got was 57. So, and I felt like I got really lucky on that 3rd lap, didn't I? With those, I crashed twice and it didn't seem to affect my time. So I reckon I got into 4th.
Well, we're just going to take a quick commercial break and we'll. I'll put you out of your misery. That was actually pretty good. You got load 53.394.
Oh!
So well done.
Sorry, Zach. Jack is in the top. Is top. Jack
Yeah.
is a better name than Zach, and we've proved it. Third over fourth.
Yeah, and that's not too far off. Again, second, right? If you didn't have those crashes, maybe the small ones that they didn't slow down too much, but I reckon if you didn't have those two bumps, you probably could have got like second place or first place or something. I don't know, but that is a very good one. Seeing as I only gave Jack the game yesterday, although he has played a bit before.
Yeah, I did play it before that. But did Stefan and Nicholas have D-pads or game pads, or did they have keyboards?
No, I think Nicholas. I think they use keyboards as well.
Okay, that's
I don't know. I'm not sure,
right.
but like
third best keyboard player.
Nicholas was practicing like a week before. But yeah, it's good. I think Stefan surprised me because I didn't actually think of him as a gamer. But I don't know, yeah. And he actually did better than Nicola in his practicing. He got like 49 point something.
Yeah, and he has actually got I looked on the actual leaderboards, and he's got 47 point something on the normal leaderboard.
Oh, he's like
he's
a secret
a bit
gamer
higher than that.
Yeah.
He's been practicing it, since he played last.
Yeah, I think what we'll probably do is like when some new stuff is out, we'll have repeat guests on, and people can increase their score and stuff and see how it goes. But I think that's a very good score, so it's nothing to be ashamed of at all. You're in the top 3. You should enter the MintGox tournament. You might win some.
I think I might start earning money. Yeah, playing in the MintGox tournament, get like $100 or something.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they're pretty good in that tournament.
Some people are pretty good. I'm trying to think the current champion of the tournament, Tokal P101, he gets 44 seconds, I think, on this track.
And the tournament's across all the tracks as well.
But that's not fair because it's not fair because actually when people play on the on practice mode, they have power-ups, random power-ups, which can give them a boost when you actually play on the practice mode. So it's probably not fair. So I'm not sure what he would do without any power-ups, but I'd imagine he'd get like sub 50.
It's different when there's other people throwing bananas at you as well and bitcoins at you. It's a whole different ball game, isn't it, than just doing a lap.
Yeah, actually,
you got to be good at shooting stuff.
A lot of people have asked me. I'm probably going to add a non-power-up mode because people are getting very competitive in the game, right? And they practice and they get annoyed when there's too much random element into it, and like they feel like the best driver didn't win, which is understandable. So, once you start to add stats, it's less of a fun game. It's more of a competitive game. So I might have a no power-up mode.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that because the track is quite challenging, and it's because it's got all those undulations, and it's hard to catch it and do the racing lines. It's really fun just trying to nail a perfect lap. To be honest, I prefer that than getting shot.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. I'll probably for the tournament, but yeah, I'll probably have a few power-ups, but maybe make it so that they don't randomize stuff. It's a bit more like power-ups give you coins, or power-ups that do something that I don't know, maybe change your skin or something, or I don't know, make it rain or something. I don't know. But cool. So I just might as well move to the audience question. Someone is asking, where can I get the game? So the game is you can play it practice mode now. You can go to I think it's like zevd.itch.io. But if you want to compete for Bitcoin, you have to join us at the next MintGox, where you can join online races with a bunch of people, and then we kind of have Bitcoin that you can race for. But you can practice at the moment. We are working on getting it out so people can play for Bitcoin anytime, but not quite there just yet, but it's coming out. Anyway, so we've got a bunch of questions. I'm trying to find them all. While I'm looking for the questions, you said you wanted to mention something about Thndr accounts, Jack.
Oh yeah, so I've been working for those people who are watching or listening who know about this. We've got Thndr accounts coming out where you can have one user account on both games. So that will unlock a lot more features that I can add on the website. But unfortunately, we had an issue this week where if you upgraded your Thndr account in Turbo 84 and had already done it in Bitcoin Bounce, you would have 2 games in one account. It wasn't copying your anonymous user account into your new account. So unfortunately, it appears that you lose all your progress, but you don't actually lose it. If you message me, I can restore it. I'm just working on a script that will fix it for you, so you can get all your whatever you unlocked will get restored. And But from now on, I think I've fixed the bug now. So the update will come out probably by Monday, and then you'll be able to log into both games and have one, Thndr account across these two games and my future games. And it'll be much easier to log into the weekend tournaments with your Thndr account. So just apologies to anyone who got all of their progress lost in the game, which is like the nightmare scenario for any developer when someone messages you and says, "I lost all of my content that I purchased."
Yeah.
But they didn't lose it. I lost it, but I know where it is.
That's another argument for NFTs, Jack. If they were NFTs, they still have the value, right? I'm just joking.
Yeah, they can't lose it.
Okay, cool. Nice kind of public service announcement there. Looking forward to the Thndr accounts. If anybody wants to ask a question, if you ask in the chat now, I'll actually be able to see it because I'm looking. But I did kind of manage to scrape a few questions that were asked before. One is if I can give a shout out to the mythical Yeticorn, as he still has his original Flappy Bird game. Many people said in the chat that they would play his old game if he had a Bitcoin component. Oh, I guess they're talking to you about that.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll put a poll up on Twitter or something tomorrow, and I'll do a vote. I'll get how many likes my tweet gets or something will be if I convert it. But you have to go easy on it because it's a crap game.
Is that the plain one?
Sketch plane.
Yeah, I want to try that one. That's quite fun. Yeah.
Well, you can play it now. It's out now. You can still play it. Just doesn't have any
sats,
Bitcoin
damn
in
you.
Yeah.
We're gonna waste my time on a non-sat game. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no, me neither.
But I guess the mythical Yeticorn, he had a Flappy Bird game, or
I think he's saying he's still got the original one on his phone.
Oh, he has Sketch. Oh, he has the original Flappy Bird game. Yeah, actually,
the original Flappy Bird.
That's an interesting story. I remember speaking to somebody because that was made by a Vietnamese developer.
Yeah, Vietnamese guy. Yeah.
And I heard someone told me. I heard two stories. One said that he just kind of didn't like the attention. He kind of gave it up because of that. Another person said that he got in trouble for having too much money in communist Vietnam, so he kind of had to stop it because of that. I don't know which one was true, but
I think it's the second one because I heard this. I went to the app. I used to go to the Apple Developer Conference, WWDC.
Oh, wow.
Someone told me there that exact same story that he had to take it down because of communist rules
making more than
or whatever.
$50,000 a year or something, and
got too much heat.
Wow.
Oh, one interesting thing about Flappy Bird for anyone listening who wants to play Flappy Bird. If you go to my website, thndrgames.com, there's an Easter egg. Thndr.games. I don't know if I've actually got thndrgames.com. Don't buy it. I need to buy it, that domain. If you go to thndr.games, in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a chat bubble where you can send me a message, like if you need customer support or whatever. And if you click on that chat bubble and don't say anything for like 4 or 5 hours, the chat bot says to you, "Hey, you bored? Do you want to play a game?" And if you click on the button that says play game, it's Flappy Bird. So you can play Flappy Bird on my site. If anyone wants to play Flappy Bird, there's a little Easter egg in the chat on there, on the customer support chat button.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think is that okay though? I guess is Flappy Bird in the public domain now or something?
Well, I don't know because I just use third-party chat customer support solution, and it was just part of it. I didn't even know it was there. I just had it open, and it said, "Hey, do you want to play Flappy Bird?" I was like, "What?" Yeah. So yeah, you can play Flappy Bird on my website if you want.
Yeah, go for it. Immortal game. Yeah, it was an interesting game that because it wasn't that early either, right? It was like 2000.
No, it was 2015, I think.
Yeah, weird. That.
It was just like the first really difficult game that was like insanely difficult to do, and it went viral because of the reviews. The reviews made it go viral because everyone started writing ridiculous reviews on the App Store for it.
Do you know if he publicized
cured my
or
cancer and stuff? Or what?
So he didn't do any publication. He just put it on there, and it just kind of naturally got found or something. Or
yeah, just viral, just pure viral sensation.
So, question. Someone was asking about NFTs on Lightning with RGB. I guess I'll answer that one. I don't know. I don't think it's possible to have NFTs on RGB, but I think it's possible to have tokens. I don't know. You should really ask those guys about it. Because one of the things with...
Well,
Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, one of the things I don't know a lot about it, but one of the things I heard is that if you've got an NFT on RGB, for example, a sword in your game, to be able to send that to someone else, they have to have a channel open, which is like swords channel. And then like you need to have a whole network of like for each NFT has to have its own network of channels open. You can't like send multiple NFT types of NFTs along one channel. Is
Yeah,
how it was described to me.
because I was actually working on... Here we go. I'm going to share this because this is a bit of like OG knowledge history here. There we go. Yeah. So I kind of took over this and abandoned it. But this was originally, it was a storage and counterparty create Lightning-based payments technology. This is 5 years ago. So storage was a coin. I think they moved to Ethereum eventually. But they had scaling issues, so they started to make Lightning channels with tokens. And yeah, and then it was kind of continued here. But it's the same idea because like Bitcoin is basically, you can say it's a Lightning network for the Bitcoin token. And it only really works because people lock up Bitcoin and there's liquidity. So you can route Bitcoin easily. But if you wanted to have an NFT where there's only one of them, how can there be liquidity if there's only one of them? So it would work.
Yeah.
Like what we concluded, the ways around it were, well, you have like a hub and spoke model, so you have to have one channel or something, and then what you do is you basically have to, if you want to make an NFT of one, the issuer basically makes something like an NFT of like 1,000 of them, but only one is kind of recognized. It was all wonky. It didn't really work, and it would kind of work, say that if you had like a game that had a currency, right? Like a white labeled Bitcoin in a way, because it would have liquidity. But even then, it was a bit iffy. So I kind of thought
liquidity lasts as long as your game lasts, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure if RGP have solved that issue. That's why I thought kind of.
No, I don't think they have.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Satoshi's Games guys, they actually have experimented with it and used it, and they'd get one of those guys on your podcast to talk about it.
Well, they're with Liquid as well. With Liquid is a side chain, so it does let you issue a token, but then you have the same issues of if Liquid fees get expensive, they're just assuming Liquid fees don't become expensive because it's federated. Is my opinion, which I know. I kind of think that, say that like the tokens start to get annoying to the exchanges on the Liquid chain or something like that, maybe they would start to like penalize token transactions or something. Anyway, I should do a second podcast about Liquid and stuff. But yeah. But yeah, that's to answer that. I'm not sure about RGB. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, tokens on Lightning. I think it's not as simple as people might think.
No, the only way it's been done is with just blockchain, and then we all know how that ends up. Basically, gets spammed, and then it becomes unusable.
I think like a real interesting thing that people don't talk about is Ruben Sumson has something called state chains, which does let you have like an off-chain NFT, which is kind of like a digital open dime or something. That was one interesting way to do it. The problem is the state chain doesn't exist yet. But that's actually, maybe I'll go into detail, but it would let you kind of off-chain transfer NFTs. It would be expensive when you wanted to do them on-chain, like if you wanted to kind of, but anyway, yeah, it's quite an interesting thing. But yeah, he didn't do an ICO, so no one cares. But nor did RGB, to be fair. But anyway, questions. Yeah, so did you do my suggestion of entering the race and choosing your character? Oh, this is about Bitcoin Rally. I think one thing with Bitcoin Rally is that people, when you chose your character, it would go to the first character. And then what happened is, because if you want to join an open race, say there's only 10 spaces left, people don't want to waste time choosing their character. They'll just do the first one to get in.
Yeah,
and everyone had the same one.
Yeah.
I did fix that, so it starts on a random character now.
Yeah, I remember that the last MintGox.
It's not completely solved, but at the moment, at least it'll start at a random character. But yeah.
Yeah, it's better.
Anyway, a question for you. How did you first get introduced into Bitcoin? Yeah, so you said you heard about Bitcoin in 2010. So that must mean you're a Bitcoin
No, it was
billionaire, right?
2000 and 2010 was the App Store.
Oh, sorry. I thought
It
you
was,
said
I
you heard about
think
Bitcoin 2010.
no, I think it was to be honest, I say 2013, but it might have been 2012. And I think I think maybe 2012 was when I just researched it. I don't think I bought any. I probably just downloaded the blockchain. But I remember the blockchain was 8 GB when I first did it. So whatever the date was when it was 8 GB, because I was like, this is ridiculous. How is anyone going to use this? This is 8 GB. So I just remember vividly going, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever downloaded, because it took like ages, and I was like, what is this? So that's when I first got into it, and I guess it was like must have been in the news or something, and I just downloaded it, clicked on the thing and downloaded it. I didn't read the white paper, didn't do any of that, didn't go, whoa, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
You ran like
I
Bitcoin
just did.
QT or something, just as a standalone application.
Yeah, because my special effects software that I did was C Sharp, C++, and we did it in Qt. This whole thing, it was called hitfilm.com. You should check it out, hitfilm.com. That's the company I used to work at back in the day. That was another startup.
Hitfilm.com?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like for YouTubers to make special effects now. We did do like professional stuff back in the day, but now it is
they've changed to FX Home.
Yeah, FX Home. They used to be HitFilm. HitFilm is the product. FX Home is the company.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool if you're into your making YouTube movies or green screening and stuff. This is why I can do so on my Twitter, Thndr Games Twitter. I occasionally do my own videos that I put up there. It's because I used to do special effects software, and I've got this software, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'll use it. Make some little short clips.
Nice.
So, some motion graphics.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just got into Bitcoin because of the news, like everyone else. But I didn't get into Bitcoin for the money side of it until 2018. Like I didn't really understand economics of it. That was when I was like, I need to really deeply understand the economy. And
so you weren't like a libertarian Austrian economist or something. You were just
no. I'd say Bitcoin is turning me into one.
Is it really? Because I always find that quite interesting, because a lot of people come from that side. So always interested to see if people who are just like regular Joes, if they learn about Bitcoin, does it make them,
makes you more think about self-sovereignty and stuff like that. And with my gaming background on the app stores, I've had a lot of stuff. Like I've had a couple of games like removed, and some other stuff have happened in the past with the app stores, and it makes you like appreciate being self-sovereign, like from a different perspective. So I was already feeling like that, but Bitcoin just makes you feel even more like that because it gives you so much power. Yeah, it makes you feel self-sovereign, and you get.
Well, it's like without invincible. Bitcoin, anybody could just be switched off from doing payments on the internet, right? You just can't get a bank account; it's over, right? Right, and that's it's but without Bitcoin, with Bitcoin, that's not going to happen. As long as you run a full node, folks.
Yeah, because if you don't, you're trusting someone else's node, and they might block your IP address from sending transactions. So you can't send anything.
Yeah, exactly. This was my beef with a lot of like kind of Bitcoin Cash people who were like, saying,
yeah,
people just have the private keys and that's enough. Anyway, good question. I'll aim this at you. How suggestions for people wanting to get started in coding for game development? So yeah, I don't know. So you kind of accidentally went into game development from like visual effects, but do you have any? How would you, if you had like a kid or a nephew came, hey, Uncle Jack, I want to be a game programmer, what would you say to
them? I think there. Have you heard of the website Udemy.com?
Udemy, yeah, it's quite famous.
Yeah. So I would suggest finding a tutorial on there, like a beginner's one, because that'll be a professional person whose job it is to make a really good, course. So, and they usually have like deals, don't they, where it's like $10, fake deals, I guess, but they're $10. So I would start there, and I would start with Unity as the platform to start your games, because anything else is much more difficult. And you can get a free version of Unity if you're like most people can just use the
Yeah,
free version. I
paying the
think,
free
are you
version.
using the free version for BTC Rally?
No, I use a paid version, but I've used a free version up until then, just because it's something like you don't have to pay anything until you like your game makes $100,000 or something like that, right? So,
Yeah.
and it's a
Yeah.
small,
So you
so
can
yeah.
just get it for free. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I don't know what you think. Is that what you'd suggest?
Yeah, like again, like I started off using doing games in Objective C, and I wish I hadn't. I wish I went straight into Unity, just because one thing with Unity, you can make a game and you can compile it for many different platforms. Having said that, I haven't really played around with the other engines. This like Unreal and Godot, which is like an open source. So as a Bitcoin, I should be saying use the open source Godot. But I just for starting off, there's so many like tutorials and assets and courses around Unity. It's a great kind of easy place to learn, I think.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So also, if you want to make Bitcoin Lightning games, I'll plug Zebedee here. Go to zebedee.io, and we offer kind of APIs and SDKs for game developers. And we're always in the Discord to help you out. I think we're finishing up here. I don't know if we've got any more questions people want to ask, or I think we're good. Is anything else you wanted to say, Jack? Anything else you wanted to announce? So I'm sure you've got like streams and things coming. You're doing like little events all the time, I see.
Yeah. So if you're on iOS on my games, you can't at the moment really win Bitcoin in a meaningful way unless you join the weekend tournament. So every weekend starting at 9 p.m. UTC, I do a tournament in either Bitcoin Bounce or Turbo 84. It's Bitcoin Bounce this weekend, and it's normally a 24-hour tournament where you have to if you get in the top 5 of the leaderboard, you will win a prize. And then I play as well. So if you beat me, you have a chance of winning a big prize. And if you lose to me, you have a chance of winning a small prize. So I give away random prizes to random people if you beat me or lose to me. And then on the Saturday night when the tournament starts, I do a live stream to sort of kick it off and get my first score in. So you can follow me on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Jack Thndr. And to be notified of the events and just general news, you can follow Thndr Games on Twitter, which is just twitter.com/Thndr Games. And yeah, I've not got any major announcements really at the moment. Just we've got the Thndr ID account system coming out. So that means you can back up your games now. You can still play anonymously if you want. I've left that option. But if you want to be able to save your game and like transfer to a new device, you need to log in with Twitter or Apple or Google, and then it should back it up unless there's more bugs next week.
Awesome. And also, Jack and myself will also be hosting the next MintGox on the 28th. So see us there for more witty banter and insightful comments. Anyway, it's been great having you on, Jack. Well done on that track time. And yeah, I'll see you later, mate.